Hello guys. So this is the second part of a larger recording we did a few weeks ago. We were exploring different questions around metal and faith and Jesus. So, so in this part today, we talking with Roger about how we can reconcile the aggressiveness of metal with the message of the gospel or the message of Jesus about peace and love. And yeah, you will be surprised. So also this episode is gonna be not maybe, it's gonna be the last one for this summer. Uh, and we're gonna be back again around September time. We don't know exactly. So it's gonna be like a couple of months break. We might end up recording somewhere in the meantime, just to have it in the bank, and then publish it around September or mid-September. Also, on around October, if you are local where we are, and we are in the south, in Medway, the southeast of England, and we're gonna be starting some monthly initially horror film nights. We're gonna have free snacks as well. So stay tuned with us. Go follow us on Facebook, on our Facebook page where we share all the news there, and stay tuned from there. And yeah, so I hope you will enjoy this episode, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave comments if you're watching on YouTube.
So, this sounds good. Is there a way to reconcile the aggressive and sometimes violent imagery of heavy metal music with Christian teachings about peace and love?
What do you think?
What do I think? I think if all you see is peace and love in the Christian message, you're probably missing a few tricks.
Probably you have watched Jesus, Zeffirelli's Jesus too much, Jesus of Nazareth. You watched that Jesus like a hippie, like a stoner. I like calling Zeffirelli's Jesus the stoner Jesus. Because he kind of like, and he does those like zooms, like he says something like really from something like from the New Testament, like something, and then like he stares blankly, and the camera zooms into Jesus is like the actor that plays Jesus, like face is like the only thing you need is have some circles start going around, like, and you have some stoner music playing in the background, or like those like 30-minute Led Zeppelin solos,
which I love. Yeah. Yeah, I get so aggressive and violent. I mean, heavy metal is fundamentally a violent and aggressive genre. It's loud, it's riffy, it's fast-paced. I guess that's violent. But again, I mean, it's only probably a minority of bands in the genre that would have very aggressive and violent lyrics, isn't it?
I mean, I wouldn't say a minority. Like
it depends
violent lyrics.
Genre you listen to.
But then depends what you mean violent lyrics. Like, there's no.
If you're talking like Cannibal Corpse or Rage, or
yeah, you're whatever, talking about. I mean, Rage are power metal.
So yeah, but they're not. There's an inherent violence in the attitude.
Yeah, I guess you can say that, but I mean, as more you go to the extreme metal scene, there a lot of. I mean, you can see Slayer. They were writing songs. One of the latest songs that Jeff Hanneman wrote, it was called Jihad, and he wrote a song from the perspective of a Muslim suicide bomber.
Okay.
And he was saying, we're gonna upset a lot of people. They said, like, yes, we're gonna upset a lot of people. Let's do it. but that's the thing of
Chop
like
rock
you know,
again.
that's a very aggressive. But it's kind of like it's a perspective, isn't
Yeah.
it?
So,
Or
so does can that be reconciled then with being a Christian? I think probably is more of a question. And again, it comes down to,
no.
I think, personal view and whether, you know, if
Yeah.
you'd listened to stuff like that and it made you think, oh, I wonder what it would be like to be a suicide bomber,
I
probably
mean, to be
not,
honest, in
probably shouldn't be listening to it. But
in the whole aggressiveness, it might be a good idea to listen to the interview I did with Peter Loss, which when this episode now be live, my interview with Peter will already been made live, so you can go back and watch it. So there's a lot of we spoke a lot about the violence and the horror value on that, and but in a way you can see this art. So sometimes I don't know if it's like the relevant question, but it's like, can you appreciate this kind of art?
yeah, I guess the violence of the lyrics goes with the aggressive nature of the music. As I
Hmm.
say, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a genre of music.
And it depends what you listen, what we're talking about. When we're talking about like bands like Cannibal or Cattle Decapitation and this kind of like, there is like the whole point is to offend.
Yeah,
And I remember it was I don't remember it was George Corpse Grinder or Alex Webster was saying like, if we didn't manage to offend you, we'd done a very bad job. That's the whole point of our music to offend. And yeah, so it's kind of like
so in that case, is there a parallel between heavy metal and Christianity? Because actually, if you're doing Christianity right, you should offend an awful lot of
yeah,
people who have got their heads stuck in the materialistic world and
hmm,
self-interest and
yeah.
ego.
But that's actually what a lot of, especially when we're talking about festivals and gigs, it was the whole idea of so going and you know go to listen to cattle decapitation, playing live, forced gender reassignment, or raped by a knife by cannibal corpse. It's mostly like need a break from life. You know, I need a break
Which
from the 9 to 5 for my children, from my everything. Like I need to just take my shirt off, jump in the pit,
and get it
and
out of my system.
get it out of my system for like
Yeah,
3 days. I don't want to think anything else. I just want like brutal death metal, and you know, and that's it. Like going spinning around the pit and jumping on other people, which that was a revelation I have like a few days ago,
mm.
and that's actually was. I don't remember if I was watching or reading about touching. Like as human, we've wired to yearn touching,
Mhm.
uh, because they release oxytocin. So oxytocin is the hormone of love, uh, and look what's happening for me. And I realized like Mospit is a oxytocin hotbed. Uh,
I pressed something. Sorry.
because you have like 50, 60, 70, 800 people. Most of the times you're shirtless because you're sweating like a pig. So you're without a shirt, without your topless, and you bouncing around with other people.
Yeah,
And touching on its own really is okay because you're in a pleasant environment. You enjoy what you're doing, and by like being squashed within all these people, you release oxytocin. Actually, That's why you're happy. It's like you become
Yeah,
happy. Moshpit makes people happy. It
that
makes
might
me
be
happy.
might be hard to explain to some of the people while you're jumping on them,
Yeah,
but you're getting a real buzz out of his contact.
yeah, but that's why like yeah,
But
it's not
yeah,
for
no, I get
everyone.
yeah, but
But yeah,
it's. I mean, it comes down to taste. I mean, I'm probably a bit
I
old
mean
in certain
obviously, I mean
areas.
we're saying like people that listen to extreme metal they're happier. That's
Yeah,
actually research from that's a proper research from universities. But if someone like you pick up some random guy but start putting them to listen to extreme metal, they're not be very happy. It's like for the fans. So you need to be immersed in the culture, like you know.
yeah, and it is that escape, isn't it? It's the escape from the pressures of life, like you say, sort of going off to a festival for 3 days. Um, I I go to a slightly different genre of festivals, but it's still that get away from real life. You don't think about stuff. It gives you headspace. You got the music going.
So that's you
You
and
know,
music and people.
music and people. Yeah, get to talk to new people, and it doesn't
You,
matter
you don't need
if
you
you
need
like them or
to
not because you never see them again. And it's
you and sometimes you don't even need to talk. I remember I was in a punk gig. It was actually from Flatwood 56. It was the Christian.
mm,
They were touring the UK and I was like typical at the front, like and bouncing all the way around. And towards the end of the show, was this guy that was next to me. We didn't say any, we didn't exchange any a
yeah.
single word the whole time. Turns out to me, I'll see you tomorrow in London
Oh yeah,
because they
I've
were
had that.
following the band. They
Yeah,
were doing 12 gigs in 12 days in the UK. So a lot of the guys that they could follow them, they just keep following the band along every gig. So it's
yeah.
like, I'll see you tomorrow in London.
I've had that at gigs. I mean, sometimes it's just sort of you happen to catch someone's eye next to you, and you just sort of nod. Yeah, we're having a good time.
Yeah.
Or you've been stood next to someone for 2 hours, sweating, listening to the music, and then yeah, you say good night, safe journey home, or something. There's a
Mm.
camaraderie there of everyone experiencing something tangible, loud.
And
Uh,
there are relatively safe places.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
there are like idiots. Like when I was at the Bloodstock, I think, or download with the Order of a Black Sheep as a volunteer. We had a couple turn up and it's like someone poured petrol on a tent. So they slept at the welfare tent.
Mm.
You know,
But there's always idiots.
I'm not saying like this like a it's a, like a it's a the land of the promised land when you go to
Yeah.
you know
I
people
know, but,
drink and take drugs and things that are ugly.
yeah.
But in general, like this considered like quite safe.
But most people they get there. If they want to be at the front, they get there early. They stand there waiting patiently for the band. Sit,
Hmm.
show some support for the support, and then there's always two idiots who've been tanking up at the bar who decide it's appropriate. As soon as the band comes on, to barge their way through down to the front. You can't help
It's
people like that. I mean, that's just life.
within, and I'll put it out more like within the rock and roll scene. And when you say rock and roll, I'm saying with like the way Lemmy would used to say it, like, and he
Yeah,
meant like everything from Elvis to Slayer, basically. Everything is
yeah,
rock and roll. Uh, it you see the artists as well. They're not like that distant. I mean, I was in a gig, which we nearly started a fight with the security guards. We like literally we kind of ready to start punching, like fists are like clenched and like we start like going, and literally the singer stopped the gig and said like, okay, stop, what you doing? So we were starting the fight, like we like
yeah.
kids, we're like 20, so we kind of get like two animated security guards, like we're gonna like do you and like that. So like you get 10 drunk 20 somethings, you know,
That happens.
it's not gonna go very well. But I mean, kudos to the guy. He was like, stopped mid song,
Yeah,
stopped, like stopped. Yeah, what do you think are you doing? Like stop. And there's a video like Dave Grohl actually done it.
yeah,
Literally stopped mid song and literally kicked out a guy from the show. And we're talking about the Foo Fighters, so it wasn't like the show where we were about 100 of us. There were like probably like 10,000 people. Like, and he literally said like you. Like he described the guy with a stripe.
yeah,
He said like he actually called the security to kick him out.
yeah.
Like get out of my show. You think you're gonna start a fight in my show? Like no. Like
No, it's and fair play. It's meant to be entertainment at the end of the day, and I
but
guess
you see, it's like even from the bands, it's not like I'm a super because like Dave Grohl is super rich now, obviously,
yeah,
but he's not like disconnected with the scene. It's not his fault that he writes very good music and people
pay a
buying
lot.
it,
Yeah,
buy a lot of it.
yeah.
He
If
didn't do it
only
for
I
the money.
wasn't a talented musician, he said. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he didn't do it to. I think I would become super rich. Like I wrote music, people liked it, and
yeah.
that made me rich. Like well, that's fine. Like,
And actually, he
but
does a lot of good stuff in the background. Supports a lot of new bands. Works in soup kitchens. Does
no,
all
yeah,
sorts.
and I think he paid for a whole barbecue, isn't it,
Yeah, that's
in a
right. Yeah,
soup kitchen, and he cooked it as well.
yeah. I mean, the problem actually with Dave Grohl is he's just too damn nice. I mean,
Yeah.
there is nothing you can dislike about Dave Grohl. He's a good musician in multi instruments. He
I
writes
also
good
remember
songs.
when what was his name, the drummer, uh, the one that died.
Yeah, yeah. Name's completely gone.
Yeah, when he first overdosed, they were in London, and literally Grohl spent all the time like he was in the hospital with him
Yeah,
while he was recovering.
I'm really annoyed now because seen him 3 times. Can't think of his name. Big white teeth. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah. So what was the
It's,
question?
I've forgotten what the question was.
We're talking about this like
No,
loosely.
yeah, we were reconciling aggressive music with.
Aggressive imagery. But that's sometimes it kind of I think asking the question is like maybe it's the wrong question to ask.
Yeah,
Like
I only asked it because it's on the list.
where is it? What is it?
Taylor Hawkins, by the way.
Taylor Hawkins. Yeah,
Yeah.
Taylor.
Came
About
came
Christian
to the.
teaching about peace and love.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I don't think that those things are kind of necessary opposing each other because you're not comparing gun yielding redneck Christians. It's kind of yeah. It's like you're a Christian. How you don't like how watching like war films
yeah,
like Dunkirk for instance.
yeah,
It's a violent film. I haven't watched it, but it's about war, so it
yeah.
has a lot of violence in it.
Oh,
I assume.
Saving Private Ryan.
Saving Private Ryan. I was going to say, like
Or the
how
one that
you.
there's one a couple of years ago, which was actually about a conscientious objector, and I can't remember the
Uh,
title of it. And it's the most
Hacksaw Ridge.
Hacksaw Ridge, yeah, and it's about the most bloodthirsty war film I've seen, and I've seen quite a few. And yet, the message there is that the guy
Yeah,
refused to carry a gun because of his religious faith.
it was in 7 Day Adventist, isn't it?
Yeah, and he wouldn't carry a gun, so he ended up sort of medical corps. And first part of the film is about him actually not been drummed out of the army and such like. But then he saved hundreds of lives through ridiculous courage and never fired a shot.
Yeah, and I remember he was
Stunning
saying
film, but
it's on the
violent.
film. It's on the film, but I remember watching an interview of his, and he was saying like he saved one. He's like, please God, just one more. Every time he
Yeah,
was saving one, he was like, okay, God, please help me save
yeah,
one more. And next time, and he would bring
just
that,
one
please
more.
help me save one more. He was getting one more, just one more, just one more. I mean, he
Yeah,
saved so many. Yeah, he saved hundreds of lives, like without firing a single bullet.
yeah. But then the, the point being, that's an extremely violent film. I mean, it's got some scenes which are gut churning, but the message is quite profound and valid. So
Same
I
like
guess it's so there's a parallel there maybe with some of the maybe not rape with a knife, but the sort of the aggressive nature of some metal lyrics. It
yeah.
depends what they're saying.
I mean, the Red with an Eye was like an extreme example, to be honest.
Yeah, and obviously going the whole going for shock value thing.
Hmm.
That is a sort of let's wind the parents up, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I listen to those songs like, what came from what is going on in Corpse Grinder's head? Like,
I suppose there's an element of I'd rather he got it out than dwelt on it, because you really don't want to lock that stuff up too
but
much.
the thing is like that, scientifically, this violence on the lyrics helps releasing stress and
Yeah,
anxiety and depression and like,
which goes back to the whole thing about the mosh pit at the
it's like a very
festival, and
bizarre and very like paradox.
yeah,
Like something so extremely violent and aggressive helps you really actually has the opposite effect to people.
it's it's a great way of de-stressing, isn't it?
Hmm.
You go and mosh for 3 days, and then you go back, and you're much nicer to your kids and your wife and your people
Yeah,
around you, because you've got rid of all that aggression and stress and
yeah.
frustration and the stuff that life builds up.
I think it's part of the human history. I was reading an article. It was about what the church can learn from metal. It was reading by a vicar on the Anglican Times. Is the Anglican Times was the Christian Times? So like one
Yeah,
of those.
church
And
times.
Church Times, something like that. So basically,
That's the Church of
she
England
was
publication, I think.
yeah, it was at the COP publication, and it's kinda she was actually compare. She was drawing similarities from to the metal festival with the Festival of Fools that was happening in medieval England, and it was like pure anarchy. It was like no order, so it was literally like
Bedlam.
like um, unleash unleash the beast basically. It was like
Yeah,
and but there was because there was like a lot of like mockery to the church, so they were doing like and like bishop mockeries and like you can say like what Ghost does, like similar, not like in within
dressing
inverted
animals
crosses.
up as priests and that sort of stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, the church didn't, it wasn't happy with that, so it kind of like they purged it at the end. But she draws that comparison like actually that was a way for people to throw the facade of being nice and polite and like the social struck the uh, all like those social
constraints.
norms, yeah,
Yeah,
constraints. Like for a few days, you just become completely like wasted and running wild, and that actually helped you release all
yeah.
this tension and like actually making the world a better place after. Like, so you've been and it's I think it was quite right. Like then you have like metal is very similar
Mm.
and kinda yeah helps you release all that anger and tension. Yeah.
I suppose like the sort of screaming therapy sort of thing. Yeah, sort of groups go off for lock themselves in a room and just scream at each other, and then come
I
back
never,
all chilled. And
I never heard of this, but it's something
oh, okay,
I never heard of it. But funny enough, I'm kind of working on something.
yeah, it's a thing. It's it's sort of basically a way of getting rid of all that pent up aggression and stress.
Mm.
You just go into a room and scream as loud as you can. So I understand. There's
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
more psychology to it than that, but it's
So, this is it. What did you think? What do you think about what we talk with Roger? Let us know down in the comments if you haven't done already. And of course, share, like, and spread the love. We'll meet again after the summer. And in the meantime, you can, as I said earlier, you can go and find us on Facebook and connect with us there. We're happy to see you. Okay, bye.